Folks, thanks for joining us today. My name's John Dubas with Premier Marketing. We'll be spending the next 45 minutes or so discussing some of the opportunities you have for the remainder of 2021, all through your business career, should you choose to do so. Some of the different programs that are out there that can really help establish yourself in the market, take care of a couple of critical needs here for your prospects and clients, establish that additional revenue stream, and also make certain that you can use it as a marketing tool. So we'll be spending the next bit of time discussing some of the programs that SureBridge has to help you do so. And today's presentation is being recorded. So everyone who raised their hand with interest in today's presentation will be getting email follow-up from us, including a link to the presentation, so you don't have to take notes. And that follow-up will include many pieces of information that we allude to through the course of the presentation as well. In the software package, you see that there is a section for questions, and we'd ask that you take advantage of that section because it is where we'll make certain we have all that covered by the end of the presentation. In many cases we do anyway, but we'll make certain that we get your questions addressed. We'll start out with a little bit of background about Premier, a bit of level set here for you, where Premier is a national marketing organization founded in 1968 that's part of the Integrity Marketing Platform. And we have offices across the country acting as an insurance wholesaler to the public through independent insurance agents such as yourself. And we do so through contracts that are at the highest possible commission levels, with recruiting contracts available to those who qualify. We do so also through a full portfolio of product that includes the base Medicare programs, the Medicare Advantage, Medicare Supplement, and standalone prescription drug plans, but we also have a full portfolio of life insurance and annuity products, final expense life insurance, pre-need plans as well, and long and short-term care programs with disability income plans available, and the ancillary benefits that are there, such as with our discussion with dental vision hearing plans today with SureBridge. But we also offer critical illness cancer plans, that we'll touch on, and hospital indemnity programs. We also have a new arrival with an accident program for you and a telehealth program that will be explored in a webinar a little later this month as well. That Medicare Advantage portfolio includes the national carriers there for you, along with many of the strong regionals that can make a difference for you in your market. And it includes a philosophy that is also in play with the prescription drug programs, where the national carriers are available to you through our organization as well. When we speak of the Medicare supplement market, we have a very robust portfolio and different programs that are put in play for you to be successful in that space, and how it also can be a great source of outreach for you when you speak of ancillary programs, particularly dental vision hearing plans that very few Medicare supplements give you any assistance with, at best discount programs. When we speak of the ancillary products, in each of those categories, we have the national leaders there for you. We want to make certain that we are accommodating the needs of our prospects and clients, and as I mentioned before, create additional revenue streams for ourselves and cover that vital need, most importantly. When we speak of the Medicare market, everyone who does one of these presentations speak to you of the aging of the baby boomers, the silver tsunami, the one every 10 seconds, 10,000 plus a day. But if we look at folks in Medicare based just on their age, we're seeing a very burgeoning market, but we're not looking at the market in its entirety, because some of the folks that become eligible for Medicare delay accessing those benefits for one reason or another. So the number's a bit smaller based just on age, but is more than taken account for, or actually more than just a big portion of the population. Pardon me while I'm a little tongue-tied here for some reason. But you have about 1/6 or 1/7 of the population that are under the age of 65 are accessing their Medicare benefits, and many of them are eligible for programs such as we'll discuss today. And it's important because budget is a concern in many circumstances, particularly with those in the Medicare arena. And we want to make certain that we make available to them programs that they can budget for and access for the critical benefits that they need. Diverse population, 2/3 of the people that are on Medicare have 3+ chronic conditions, and they have those challenges with budgets that I mentioned before, that if we offer an array of programs that help address those needs, we're putting ourselves in very good light with our prospects and clients because they need the coverage. And this way they can afford the care that they are looking to access, because they have choices. In each of these categories, our topic today with dental, vision, hearing programs can be applied in each of the decision routes that people make. There are folks that will decline Part B of their Medicare, and there are folks that just do A and B and perhaps select that standalone prescription drug program to help with the drug costs, but self-insure on the medical and other benefits that they need. The folks that take the modernized, standardized Medicare supplement route, well, and as I mentioned before, they have needs for dental, vision, hearing programs as well, because generally the Medicare supplements, it's not part of the standardized benefits, and some of them may offer discount programs, but not true coverage. On the Medicare Advantage side, should someone choose to access their benefits that way, they do, in many circumstances, have extra benefits, these ancillary benefits, but in a lot of circumstances, it's not enough. So we look to make certain that we take care of our folks in that fashion. Those that are coming into Medicare will do a pretty even split between Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement plans. And then you've got that portion, as I mentioned, that show as original Medicare only. Well, it doesn't mean they don't have any other coverage in some circumstances. Some may be accessing benefits through the VA. Some may be Medicare, Medicaid eligible. Some of them might even have a retirement plan from work. But this section does have the people who have only original Medicare because they either don't know about other programs or decided not to take advantage of that help, and they may be in need of some of the programs that we discussed today. So that diverse population in each of those different categories, we need to have plans that can address their needs, and we talk about specifics with dental, vision, hearing today. One of the things we find too in the Medicare world, just like most of the different businesses out there, we all have our own language in a manner of speaking. So part of the follow-up that will be sent to you is access to this acronym guide that can help you explain what all those initials are. Is MICKEYMOUSE on this? Probably not, but there's a whole bunch of other things that are, sometimes it's an obscure term. We all need help looking up what the heck did that mean. This can help you in that area. And we also have an added impetus to reach out to folks at this particular point in time of the year. We're almost, believe it or not, well, we're into the end of the first quarter of our calendar year already. And Kaiser Family Foundation has found that the majority of people on Medicare aren't reviewing their coverages annually. So using a dental, vision, hearing program as a lead-in to discuss that need brings up the topic in many circumstances, and we can address base coverages as well, because there are certain groups that really need that help. Folks that are older with lower incomes, lower education levels, and fair or poor health, they aren't reviewing their coverages annually. And we can still do so when we visit with folks, particularly through the end of this month with the OEP option that they have for changing some of their base coverages in the Medicare Advantage world. But it gives us an opportunity to make certain those folks are in a plan that may be their best fit, because you know how things go with changes in programs and changes in medication coverages. That can be a big deal. And you look at it even further, where a third of the Medicare beneficiaries report difficulty in understanding the program. There are a lot of folks out there with a misunderstanding as to how exactly some of the extra benefits are covered under original Medicare, and are unaware in most cases that they're not, because they're not even using some of the official information that's put out there by the government. So we have an opportunity to make certain that they know what their benefits are. All the Medicare beneficiaries get this book, a version of it, in October, either by snail mail or electronically. And we want to make certain that they realize that if they have some of the electronic access, they can actually figure out what their benefits are that they currently have very simply by downloading an app or going to a site and having some additional information sent to them, a governmental site of kind of a third-party influencer in this circumstance, and we can help them regardless. By helping them regardless, I mean we can do it in person and in a virtual app selling atmosphere as well, because the carriers such as SureBridge give us the tools to do so. So we can outreach electronically, telephonically, and we can carry through an enrollment process in a virtual world where, okay, are they sequestered? Are we having an opportunity to visit with them face to face? We are an essential industry. We can do that. But in many circumstances, even with some of the states relaxing some of the COVID restrictions on activity, well, some folks still want that information virtually rather than in person. And we want to make certain that we're taking advantage of their increased electronic savvy moving forward. Because think about it. They're being trained by people that are delivering these benefits. You see telehealth come into play with base medical. You even see it affecting the dentistry industry as well. Their docs telling them how to do this. Even their faith celebrations in many circumstances are still virtual. So we need to make certain that we realize that an increasing number of people that weren't using some of the electronic means are now becoming much more comfortable with it. And that gives us the opportunity to address needs, utilize that delivery of information to help them purchase additional coverage, drive up our income, drive up our persistency, but most importantly, address the need of our prospects and clients. So in order to chat about this today, we are inviting a guest presenter with SureBridge, Mr. Seth Groff, who is a sales director with that organization. And we are asking Seth to give us a rundown of SureBridge, its dental vision hearing program, and any other type of ancillary benefits they have as part of their portfolio that can help us in our discussions today. So what I'm going to do at this particular point in time is ask Seth to come on the program. I will turn over control of the computer to you, Seth. You go there, and that's what we've got. So at this point in time, I'll be still, and I'll ask Seth to give us some information that can help us serve our prospects and clients. Seth?
All right. Well, thanks, John, for that warm introduction, and thanks, everyone, for jumping on today's call. As John mentioned, I'm going to cover one of SureBridge's hottest products in the marketplace right now, SureBridge's Prime DVH. And I just want to kind of reinforce the opportunity that John highlighted during the opening here. We all know that there's a lot of individuals turning 65, and that's exciting because there's a lot of people to talk to. But one of the stats that even makes me more excited about Prime DVH is that over 65% of consumers in that Medicare market don't have any dental coverage. And so when you're looking for a product to talk to people about, Prime DVH is a great one, because if you think about it, everyone in that market has either probably some sort of, they're either going with the Medicare route like John indicated, or they're going Med Advantage plan. So when you're prospecting in that marketplace, they've already got something in place, and you're just going in there to create a wedge to maybe enroll them in a plan that you have to offer. But chances are a high percentage of those individuals don't have dental coverage, and so this can be your wedge into the conversation, because statistically they don't have a dental plan, and you can educate them on the options that they have available with SureBridge's Prime DVH, and then also possibly get their core medical product as well. And so this is a great time to reach out to clients. This product can be sold year round. It doesn't have to be during AEP, and so now's the time to really reach out to people and start having conversations about this plan. John also mentioned the ability to sell in person and virtually. We saw everything change in 2020 of how people do sales. And the good news is that SureBridge is really already set up to embrace the new normal, as I call it. And so all of our policies are going to be submitted online via point of sale tool. There's several signature options available. So if you're still meeting with clients face-to-face, there's a real easy face-to-face signature. If you've had to go to more of a remote sales process, again, we're set up to handle email signatures, voice signatures, even text signatures. So it's going to, you're going to be able to align a signature method that aligns with what your customer wants to do. Also, by leveraging technology, we're going to be able to offer you some of the most competitive products at the most competitive prices. And so we just have really embraced technology at SureBridge, and we're not going back. And so if you're not comfortable with e-applications, unfortunately, SureBridge isn't going to be a good fit for you. But I think what you're going to find, if you take a little bit of time to learn the process, you're going to see that it's pretty easy, and most of your clients are going to be able to embrace the signature processes as well. As some of the things that you need to know about SureBridge is, as John mentioned, we have a broad portfolio of products. And so if you're just looking for one carrier to be your go-to for ancillary products, I recommend taking a look at SureBridge. And when you look at our portfolio of products, you're going to realize that some are going to be guaranteed issue, meaning there's no health questions on the app. Prime DVH is going to be a good example of that. And then other products will only be true simplified underwriting. So there might be a few questions on the application, but there's never an MIB script check or personal phone interview. And the point of all of this is that we realize ancillary products are not going to be your primary market, right? Maybe your primary market is Med Advantage, or maybe it's the Med Sup route. And I know that if we have to make this as easy as possible in order to enroll your clients, or else you're not going to do it. And I think you're going to find that working with SureBridge accomplishes that. And these are just going to be an easy product to incorporate into your sales process. So what I'm going to talk about today is really 3 what I call proven sales strategies for Prime DVH. Again, these are going to be, I'm going to kind of speak to the senior market specifically, but you're going to see that this plan is also good for if you work with any under 65 clients as well. But again, just remember that the large percentage of that Medicare market aren't insured, and so you're going to have plenty of people to talk to. And this is also a product that they're used to owning, right? Maybe they had dental insurance through their employer until they retired at age 65. Now they turn 65, they lose that group coverage, and they don't know what to do. And so here's your chance to go out and educate those people. But really, I want to just start with some of the highlights of these plans. And when we were designing Prime DVH, what we did is we went and looked at the plans out in the marketplace. And first of all, if you're not familiar with what DVH stands for, it's a dental, vision, hearing combo product, okay? So I just want to make that clear. But we went out into the marketplace and we looked at all the DVH plans in the marketplace, and we looked at what we liked about certain plans and tried to replicate it. And then we looked at what we didn't like about certain plans and we made it better. And one of the things that we really think what we really improved on with the other DVH plans out there is that the preventative dental is covered at 100% day one with no deductible. And when you look at some of the other DVH plans out there, sometimes you'd be hit with a deductible, sometimes you'd be hit with a lower insurance amount. And so, clients would go to the dentist and they'd walk away with a bill and they just didn't see the benefits of owning a dental plan. Well, with Prime DVH, they can go get their teeth cleaned, they can get it checked out by the dentist, and they can get those basic x-rays covered at 100% day one, no deductible, no out-of-pocket costs, which allows your client to go and immediately receive some good benefits. Also, the hearing and vision exams are covered at 100% from day one as well. So just think about that. That's a big day, right? That client gets this plan in force, then they go to the dentist, get their teeth cleaned, then they go to the vision or optometrist, get their eyes checked out, and then go to the audiologist and get their hearing checked out. And all that would be covered at 100% day one with no deductible, providing immediate value to your client. So they're seeing the immediate impact that this plan is making in their lives. Also looking at the dental benefits, basic, so that's going to be like your basic fillings, no waiting periods on those. We'll talk about the percentage payouts on a few more slides, and even our major dental only has a 9-month waiting period. So again, we wanted to be able to provide immediate value to this and the client. immediate value to the client with this plan. You're going to find some top competitive premiums, and as John mentioned as well, Premier does a great job of providing some of the top commissions in the marketplace. And so if you're not contracted with SureBridge, be sure to hit Premier up, because they're going to hook you up with some great commissions. And then also we'll talk about the networks tied to this plan and how the client can go to an in-network provider, get some huge discounts, or if they want to go to out-of-network provider, they can do that as well. And I'll highlight how those benefit works also today. So when we're looking at this plan, just some of the basics on it. Issue ages are going to be 0 to 90. Okay, if you get this issued at age 90, you get to keep the plan. Okay, there's no termination for it. It's going to be renewable as long as they pay the premium. So that's going to be great. Guaranteed issue, no health questions. Basically, the two knockout questions are they can't be incarcerated and they have to be a legal U.S. citizen. As long as they're those two things, they're going to be good to go with this plan. The way it works is you're going to select a benefit amount. So you're going to select either 1,000, 1,500, or 2,000. The thing that you need to make sure you realize about this benefit amount is that all your benefits are going to come out of it. Okay, so the dental will come out of that, the vision benefits will come out of that, the hearing benefits will come out of that. And so sometimes people get confused and they think, and the preventative stuff comes out of that. They think that some of these benefits are in addition to it, and that's not the way that these plans work. They're all going to come out of that benefit amount. There is going to be a $100 deductible for some of the services, but as I kind of highlighted in the highlights, that deductible is not applicable to the preventative services, and we'll kind of talk about when it is. But just remember, it's only one deductible per policy year. So if you hit the deductible for dental, you don't have to hit the deductible again for like a vision hardware or hearing hardware. So just $100 deductible. And again, we're going to talk about some of the networks associated with this plan and how that benefits your clients. So jumping in and taking a look at the dental benefits, up on the screen here is just an overview of what's covered. If you want a full list of dental benefits, what I recommend you do is you go out and download the product guide from SureBridge's agent portal, and you can download the product guide and then access a sample policy. In that sample policy, it has the full list of what's covered and whether it's type 1, type 2, or type 3. And so if you really want to be good at selling this plan, I would have that with you so that when your client asks about a certain thing, you can just look at it, because that's really going to answer most of your product questions about the Prime DVH. Two questions that always come up on this slide. Number one, are implants covered? No, this does not cover implants. The second question that always comes up, are orthodontics covered? No, this doesn't cover orthodontics. When you look at plans that cover those two types of services, they're just going to be more expensive, and a lot of times there's limited benefits with those. And so just in order to keep this very cost effective, those two things aren't covered. Other than those, though, you're going to see that this is going to cover most services that are covered under a traditional dental plan. If the way the product works is that, again, we are a kid on the preventative, right? Preventative, no waiting period, 100% in all years, no deductible. Your basic type services, so that's your cavity, right? So you go to the dentist, they check it out, say, hey, you need to get a filling. Don't worry, there's no waiting period, so they can make that follow-up appointment. And then SureBridge will cover 60% starting in year 1, where the client would be responsible for covering the remaining 40%. In year 2, it goes 70-30. In years 3 and beyond, it's 80-20. And that $100 deductible is applicable for the basic type services. For your major type services, so like a crown or a root canal, again, it's going to have that 9-month wait, but after that 9-month wait, it's going to be covered at 60% year 3, or excuse me, 60% for the remaining 3 months, and then jump to 70% year 2, 80% year 3 and beyond, and that $100 deductible is applicable. Now, this is how it's going to pay if you go in network. And in network, this uses what's called the Carrington Network. And the Carrington Network has a wide range of providers across the United States. So chances are your client's going to be able to find a provider that's close by. But inevitably, somebody on the call today is going to say, well, what if my client doesn't want to go to an in-network provider because they've been going to the same dentist for 50 years and they aren't in any networks? And, you know, I live in Nebraska and I get it. In rural Nebraska, that's going to be a lot of people that aren't going to be in a network. But the good news is we design what's called a passive network for out-of-network benefits, and it's going to be very rich. And here's how it's going to work. It will actually pay the same percentage of payout as if they went in network. So it's going to be these same percentages. However, the amount that we pay is going to be capped at the 75th percentile of usual and customary charges. Now, this is where I usually lose agents, okay? It's not 75% of usual and customary charges. It's the 75th percentile of usual and customary charges. So here's how I explain it. Imagine that there's 100 dentists standing in a row, right? And they all charge a different amount. As long as they go to dentist 1 through 75, it pays the same as if they went in network, okay? However, if your dentist is one of the most expensive in the area, so your dentist is in the upper quartile as far as most expensive, it's going to be capped at that 75th percentile of usual and customary charges. So it will only pay the percentages based on what that 75th dentist charges. But if you have questions on that, we got a flyer that explains it. But basically, to simplify it, as long as your dentist isn't the most expensive, you know, the 25% most expensive in the area, is going to pay the same as if you went in network, and so very rich out of network benefits as well. But I always recommend going in network whenever possible, but I get it. Some dentists just aren't in it, and if you like them and you don't want to change, that's how the out of network benefits would work. When we start taking a look at the hearing benefits, it's going to cover the hearing exam, purchase of hearing aids, hearing aid repairs. But one of the things that people like about the hearing benefits on Prime DVH is the savings they get through the True Hearing Network. And so the benefit on this hearing benefit, which we'll cover on the next slide, is only going to be $500 every 2 years, okay? And when you start looking at $5,000, $6,000 for hearing aids, you know, people are like, well, that doesn't get me very far. That's true. However, if you start, applying a 50% discount to that, now you're getting some significant savings. So getting the access to those savings by going through the True Hearing Network is going to be a good thing for your clients, and definitely something that you want to point out to them. The vision benefits, they're going to cover the eye exam, contact lenses, frames, some corrective lenses as well. But the biggest thing to remember about the vision benefit is that it's not tied to a network, okay? I really want to put an emphasis on this. It's not tied to a network. The client goes to any provider they want. They would actually settle up with the provider and then submit the claim directly to SureBridge, and it would be reimbursed the benefits, okay? So for the vision, it's not tied to a network, and they would always submit the claim directly to SureBridge and be reimbursed the benefits. With the dental and hearing benefits, if they go to an in-network provider, they're gonna file that claim for the client. But with vision, it's not tied to a network, and this is often overlooked, and so it will always be a reimbursement for the vision benefit on the Prime DVH. But here's how it works. The vision benefit is capped at $200 a year. So keep in mind that that is coming out of that top or out of that benefit amount. So if you got a $2,000 benefit, only $200 can be allocated towards the vision. The exam is covered day one, 100% with no deductible. However, the hardware does have a 9-month waiting period, and then it's covered at 60% for the remaining 3 months, then 70 and 80 years 3 and beyond, and that deductible is applicable. In a similar light, the hearing benefit is going to be maxed out at $500 every 2 years. They can do $250, or they can do $500 and then wait. But it is going to, we usually see people just doing the $500 and waiting because they purchase hearing aids, and they are going to be expensive and exhaust that benefit. But otherwise, it's going to work similar, where the hearing exam's covered immediately with no deductible, and the hardware does have that 9-month wait, and then covered 60, 70, 80, just like the vision hardware. The deductible is applicable, but the thing to remember about the deductible is they only have to pay one per policy. So if they hit that deductible with the dental, they don't have to pay it again, okay? Or if they hit it with the vision, they don't have to pay it again. So it's only one deductible per policy year. So once you hit it, You don't have to do it again, but that's how the vision and hearing benefits are going to work. From a pricing standpoint, you can see up there on the screen and get a feel for what the cost is on this plan. These are issue age premiums, so once you get locked in at an issue age, you'll continue to pay that issue age rate. So if you get it locked in at 65, your price does not jump up when you turn 66, okay? So there's really an incentive for your clients to keep these plans if they're working that turning 65 market. You know, because you can see if you wait to purchase it when you're 66, you know, at that $1,500 benefit amount, you can see that it jumps up $11. And so it's imperative to get this plan locked in at those lower rates whenever possible. If your client wants to upgrade, so they start off with a $1,000 benefit and they want to upgrade to the $1,500 benefit, they only can do that on the policy anniversary, and it will actually be the new rate at their current age. So, you know, if you buy this at 18 and then wait till 65 and then you want to increase it, you would have to pay that 65-year-old rate, and that upgrade can only be done on the policy anniversary. You can submit the request 90 days ahead of time, but it won't be effective until that policy anniversary. So just a couple of frequently asked questions with the Prime DVH. Number one is, will my client receive an ID card? If you're working in the over 65 market, yes, they will always receive an ID card in the mail, and up there on the screen is what it looks like. If you're working the under 65 market, it's going to depend. It depends on how they answer a question on the application. There's a question that asks if they consent to electronic delivery. It defaults to yes, implying that they do consent. If you don't change that to no, they will not receive a card, okay? They'll receive instructions on how to download the card. However, if you just change that to no, they'll receive the policy in the mail and the card in the mail. Personally, I just recommend changing that to no. Usually the client wants to receive it in the mail, and that question's sometimes overlooked by the agent, even though you're supposed to be reading it to the client. So just keep that in mind. If you say no, they'll receive the card in the mail. Over 65, always receive the card in the mail. How you find a provider, go to SureBridgeInsurance.com and then click on client, and it will actually take you to ChesaPeakePlus.com. And actually what I would do is I'd just go directly to ChesaPeakePlus.com and bypass having to click on the SureBridgeInsurance.com. But right down here in the lower right hand corner, you're going to see where it says find a dental provider and find a hearing provider. Click on that, enter in the zip code, and you're going to be able to find a dental provider and a hearing provider. Don't get confused by this find a vision provider. As I mentioned earlier, this is not tied to a network. Prime DVH is not tied to a network. This is actually for our standalone vision plan, okay? And I know it's a little confusing because they put it right there in between the two, but Prime DVH not tied to a network. This is for a standalone vision plan that SureBridge offers. But right here, go to ChesaPeakePlus.com. You can find your dental providing and hearing provider. If for some reason your client lost their card and needs a duplicate, you can get it right here, get an ID card. Click on here, enter the policy number and your agent ID, and you can access the card, print it off for them. Also, if they want to request a duplicate policy print, so if they want a new card in the mail, that's what you got to do there. Also, you can do a lot of other good stuff here: cancel policies, change mailing addresses, and even the client can update their payment information. So this is going to be a great resource for you. So make sure you write down ChesaPeakePlus.com, bookmark it, and then this is where you can go and do a lot of things. You or the client can go and do a lot of things on their policy. Another question that always comes up is, what should the client say when using the card? I always tell people to say the Carrington network. So when, you know, I started going to a new dentist basically last month, and when I called them up to set the appointment, they asked me, you know, what network I used. And I don't actually have SureBridge, I have it through our employer, but if they asked a similar question, you would want to say the Carrington network. Okay, if you say SureBridge or the Chesapeake Life Insurance Company, they're going to be like, we don't know who that is. But if it's the Carrington network and they're in network, they'll know who that is. For the true or the hearing portion, you would say True Hearing. And for the vision, I tell people don't even show the card, because they're not in network, because it doesn't use a network. It's always going to be a reimbursement. It causes a lot of confusion. So just say, I'll be paying for it out of pocket. And then the client, after they get the bill, they submit it to SureBridge and will be reimbursed any cost owed. Will the dentist file the claim? Yes. If they go in network, the dentist will file the claim. If you go out of network, it depends on the dentist. A lot of times they'll still file the claim for the client. If they don't, for some reason, again, settle up with them, submit the claim straight to SureBridge, and they'll be reimbursed any benefit owed. The hearing, it works the same way. If you go to a true hearing provider, they'll process the claim for you. The vision, again, remember, vision's not tied to a network. It's always going to be a reimbursement. And you're probably saying, Seth, you've said that 3 times. And the reason I overemphasize it is because it causes some confusion. And so just make sure you know, vision is not, they're not going to file the claim for vision. It's because it's not tied to a network. So they always settle up, submit the claim directly to SureBridge. Talking about the best sales techniques out there, John brought up the Medicare and You handbook, and personally, this is the best way to sell this plan. And I always call it let the government sell for you. They get this book, it's sitting on their coffee table, whatever the case might be. Flip to this page, it shows them what's not covered by Part A and Part B, and there's 4 things to point out to them: most dental care, eye exams, dentures, and then right down here, hearing aids and exams for fitting them. All you're doing is saying, look, make sure these aren't, you realize these aren't covered, and I'm going to show you an individual insurance plan that will provide you some benefits to pay for these things. If you do that, just show them that, and then mention that you're going to show them an option for that. You're going to sell a lot of plans because again, they're used to having dental insurance, and so they're going to be open to that conversation. The second best way to sell this plan is just to ask the question, are you currently going to the dentist? And regardless of how they answer this question, you're going to be able to pivot to a conversation about prime DVH. So, it's like, hey, are you currently going to the dentist? They're like, well, no. You say, oh, is that something you're interested in? Chances are they'll say yes. And when they say yes, just say, great. Do you care if I show you a more cost-effective way to pay for your dental care? And then pivot into prime DVH. If they, for some reason, say no, they don't want to go to the dentist, that's when you can talk to them about the benefits of going to the dentist. But most people, especially if they're over 65, realize that they only got 1 set of teeth, and that it makes sense to take care of them. If you ask this question and they come back and they say, yeah, I am going to the dentist, you say, great. Are you currently paying for that out of pocket, or are you using insurance? If they say, well, I'm paying for it out of pocket, you say, oh, well, let me show you a more cost-effective way to pay for your dental care, and then go into prime DVH. If for some reason they come back and say, well, I'm actually using insurance, you say, oh, great. Just out of curiosity, does your current dental insurance include vision and hearing benefits? If not, if they're not enrolled in a DVH plan, you just say, oh, well, let me show you a plan that does. And if for some reason they do have it, just say, oh, you mind me looking at it and seeing if the plan I offer has better benefits? So the point is, regardless of how you ask that question, you're going to be able to pivot into a conversation about prime DVH. And then the final one that I always say is just know your numbers, okay? This is just some of the preventative benefits that your client can go out and receive in Nebraska. I use the Nebraska zip code here, which I live in Nebraska. Premier's located in Nebraska. That's why I love working with them. Well, they have offices all around, but they have an office here in Nebraska as well. But people will sometimes look at dental insurance and just not see the benefit, right? You got to pay this premium, and you're only insuring maybe $1,000 or $1,500 or $2,000 of risk. But the way that dental insurance is different from other insurance out there is that you get immediate benefit, right? The reason term insurance is so inexpensive is because hopefully you don't use it, and chances are you never will, right? Well, with dental insurance, DVH plans, you're going to use it, right? You're going to go to the dentist, so you're going to receive some immediate value. And if you're already have glasses, you're going to use the vision benefit because you're going to go get your eyes checked and you're going to get a new set of glasses every year. And so if you start adding up all the immediate benefits that you're going to get throughout the year, chances are that's either going to be a wash on the premium or you're going to be coming out ahead. And so when I talk about a more cost-effective way to pay for your care, that's what I'm talking about with prime DVH. Wide range, available across the United States, and so chances are it's going to be approved where you are selling. And really, that's what I had prepared for you for today for prime DVH. I just real quick, wanted to hit on this plan. I'm not going to go in it in real depth, but I do want to mention that SureBridge also has a critical illness plan that can be sold in the over 65 market. And I think that this market for critical illness is often overlooked. And here's why I think you should be talking to seniors about critical illness. Number one is that the chances of getting diagnosed with cancer, for example, if you're not familiar with critical illness, pays a lump sum upon diagnosis of a covered condition, right? Covered condition is going to be your heart attack, cancer, or stroke. But statistically, about 1 in 3 people are going to be diagnosed with cancer. Now, just to put that into perspective, if you, me, and John were sitting in a room, chances are, statistically speaking, one of us was going to get diagnosed with cancer. So the chances of having this are going to be high. And even though if you're covered by Medicare or a Med Advantage plan that has great coverage, health coverage, what people don't realize is that a large cost of cancer, for example, is going to be indirect costs. And when I talk about indirect costs, a big one for that is going to be travel to a specialist. And so if you're going to some cancer center to get the best treatment because you want to beat that thing, which most people are going to want to do, you're probably going to have to stay in a hotel. You're going to have travel costs, and it's pretty easy to start racking up the cost. What's a nice hotel cost, for 5 nights? You're probably looking at getting up around a grand for that stay, if not more. And then you throw in some plane tickets, food, other things, just a lot of the out-of-pocket costs associated with these things can tend to add up. And so that's really why I like talking about the critical illness plan in the senior market. Probably the biggest objection you get with the critical illness plan is that it's just too expensive in the senior market. And kind of it does get expensive. You're going to see lower benefit amounts with the plan. But I always tell people, talk to it with your more affluent people. People that maybe aren't really have a limited budget, but maybe have some other income coming in for retirement. This is going to resonate with them because chances are they will know someone that's been diagnosed with this. But just to real at a high level on this plan, issue ages 0 to 90. So you can write this all the way out to somebody that's 90. It's going to be renewable. So as long as they pay that premium, they're going to be able to keep it past 90. The benefit amounts is 5 to 100,000, but if you're working from the 64 and above market, the max is going to be 50,000. However, there's no reduction in benefits. It's just the amount that you're eligible based on your age. So if you purchase 100,000 when you're 63, you get to keep 100,000. We do have some guaranteed issue amounts of 5 or 10,000 in that under 63 market, but for 64 and above, it's always going to be simplified underwriting. Simplified underwriting means questions on the application, no MIB, no script check, no personal phone interview. The thing that I just want to point out about the guaranteed issue amount, it is in that under 65 market, is it only pays upon first diagnosis of a covered condition. So if they've already been diagnosed with a covered condition, it's not going to pay. Technically they could get the plan if they had cancer, but it's never going to pay on cancer because it has to be first diagnosis after the plan's in force. This plan does have a $20 application fee. DVH does not, but if you're enrolling them in multiple products, you only have to pay one application fee, or if you're enrolling multiple people, you only have to pay one application fee. But the way that it works is you start with the base policy. Traditionally, it's going to be CancerWise Plus. Then you add the heart rider and the critical condition rider. And the reason we did this 3 separate parts is for 2 reasons. Number one, we wanted the benefit to pay out multiple times, so once in each category. So if you added all 3 categories, it'd pay out for cancer, pay out for one of the heart conditions, pay out for the critical conditions rider. And then we also wanted the ability to carve out certain conditions. So if your client's been diagnosed with cancer, but still wanted the heart portion, you could do that. And so this is really important in the senior market because a lot of times maybe they've had some health issues. John talked about the chronic conditions. Well, if they've had cancer but still want the heart, we can carve that out. But just know that you start with either the cancer or the heart, and then you add the other 2 to make a comprehensive critical illness plan. Up on the screen are going to be what's covered, going to be pretty in line with other critical illness plans out there. One thing I like to point out is this loss of independent living, which is nice, especially if you're in that senior market, pays 25% of the benefit if they're unable to do 2 out of 6 ADLs. And so, you know, definitely just something to keep aware if you're working in that senior market. Remember that if you receive a lower percentage of payout, you're still eligible for the remaining benefit. Other than that, we all know that the chances of having one of these conditions are high, and your clients know it. These are the questions to ask when critical illness. You know, who do you know? They always think about the person closest to them. Me personally, I think about my grandpa who passed away to cancer, and my grandma sitting there in the hospital room while he was at the hospital trying to get treatment and get better. And, you know, sometimes she'd sleep in the chair in the hospital room. Sometimes she'd go rent a hotel. And obviously we helped her out with the cost of that, but she didn't like taking the money. So she usually just wanted to sleep in the hospital room. But what would a $10,000 have done for her? So that she wouldn't have had to worry about that. She would be able to get a good night's sleep, and she wouldn't have to worry about the cost. Also, you know, where he received treatment was about an hour away. You know, so they had gas, they had food, just everything, and it all adds up. So who do you know was expected to create emotional stress, and would a lump sum check have helped ease the burden is kind of how you position it. And again, in the senior market, it's very, very popular. But here's just a cost example. These are 65-year-olds. You're going to see lower amounts. So we did 20,000 on there, and you can see what the cost for that $20,000 are. Again, I think that this example like tied it to the out-of-pocket costs associated with Med Advantage plans. But in my opinion, you tie it to the indirect costs associated with these conditions, because if they're 65 and older, they probably know someone that's had it and they've seen those indirect costs. Here's going to be the knockout conditions. Just keep in mind that you can carve out. If a check mark is here, that means they're ineligible for that portion. But otherwise, like for example, if they've had cancer, they can still get the heart portion. So check that out as well. But with that, John, I'm going to turn it back over to you. And that's what I had prepared for today.
Awesome. Thank you, Seth. We have just a few questions to finish up today's presentation. But or more additional slides, but I wanted to check and see if we had questions that weren't covered through the presentation. And Kim asked one that is very pertinent to folks that particularly work the MAPD market, and that is, if a client has an MAPD that includes DVH, do you cover? If so, how will the claim be processed? And for an example, MAPDs cover cleanings, client pays for a standalone DVH. Her clients comment that the MAPD benefits won't pay if they have a private DVH insurance. So basically, can a client double dip with their benefits?
So the DVH, our plan does not coordinate benefits. And so even if that, you know, that their MA plan paid for it, they could still submit the claim directly to SureBridge, and we're going to pay the benefit owed. So I can't speak for the MA plans, whether or not they coordinate, but we do not. And so we will always pay the benefit in those examples. You know, the only thing I always tell you is if they have good dental coverage with their MA plans, be careful, because you don't want to get in a situation where you're over-insuring a senior. And so even though we don't coordinate benefits, you know, it might not make sense to write that plan. But, you know, again, if that plan only has some preventative benefits and they want that additional coverage, you know, for your type 2 and your, you know, your type 3 services, then there's nothing wrong with it. But just keep in mind, we do not coordinate, but I can't speak to the MA plans.
Awesome. As a former carrier rep for those MAPD plans, I can assure people that the vast majority of them do not coordinate benefits. So taking out an additional policy is actually an indication that you've discussed that benefit with your prospect or client, and knowing in many cases that the benefit with the MAPD plan doesn't cover everything they need financially, particularly, it's a big advantage to have an additional program that doesn't coordinate. And as we mentioned, most of the time it does not. For specifics, we can get you that information by pulling detail from the MAPD carrier that you have the coverage with your prospect or client, or they have outside of you. One of the other things that comes up is I wanted to mention, many times when you look at critical illness programs, the experience of having someone in the household who has gone through that makes a huge difference. Because a lot of times you can ask that question, who do you know? The answer is, well, my husband or my wife or my son. And folks in that circumstance that have been through it realize that the non-medical coverage that is available through these programs, paid directly to the client, makes all the difference in the world. Those non-medical expenses can really eat you up. Let me assure you of that. So the other thing that just popped up is, can you get a copy of this presentation? Yes, the recording is going to come to everybody by email, and a copy of the slide decks as well will come to you. So you will have that information, so the detail is there for you. That said, Seth, I'm just going to wind up with a few slides about how folks can take advantage of the support they get with Premier Marketing as well. And we have a nice piece in our software package that allows you to contract with carriers electronically. You create an agent profile, Insurance Bay, you put in your E&O information, you answer questions that you standardly see on contracts, and have all your detail there. Then you're just able to just click on a particular carrier that participates in this program, and your contract is auto-filled electronically. So much easier, particularly if you're doing a number of programs with us. Keep in mind there are some carriers that do not participate in this program, but generally those are ones that have their own electronic system set up. So one way or another, we're going to make certain that we make the contracting process as simple and painless as possible. And we also look out for your financial wherewithal as well, with the discounted errors and admissions coverage for qualified agents or agencies. What's that mean? What's a qualified agent? Well, you've got a contract with us, basically. But this is a program that you have available to you that you own. So it covers you regardless of whom you're contracting through for different products in the insurance world. Makes it simple. It's not like a blanket E&O where you're added for just one carrier and then you have to worry about, well, what about everything else I sell? This is yours. You own it. You have a contract with us. It qualifies you for that program, and it then carries over to any other type of programs that you have as part of your insurance portfolio. We do also offer discounted continuing education programs to make certain your license stays in play through our association with WebCE, discounted programs, all handled virtually. And that takes care of protection for your licensor itself. And we also offer a program for you to add to your own benefit package, and it's a modified guarantee issue disability income program that is available to you where you earn a commission on a product that you are offering yourself. So something to consider to enhance your own benefit structure as well. Much as where we mentioned that today's presentation is being recorded, and the information that we allude to through the course of the presentation will be sent to you. We do have a library of past presentations that speak to not only specific products with specific carriers, but also marketing programs to help put you in front of individuals that can buy the product. And so that's a very valuable resource. We are actually going to link a couple of these presentations to your follow-up that will help you in pursuing ancillary benefit coverage through SureBridge and give you additional wherewithal as to, okay, when I run into someone and they talk about cancer, how do I address it? Well, we've got programs recorded that can help you there too. We also offer all of our agents that are contracted with us access to our Medicare Center program. And this is an electronic tool that combines 3 different quoting mechanisms with a singular sign-on that gives you a CRM for you to manage your business, but also reach out to people electronically to pursue the different pieces that are necessary for you to have a compliant presentation. Keep in mind, if you're visiting with someone on a DVH program and you're talking about SureBridge's CI program, their critical illness program as well, you don't need a scope of appointment for that. But what makes this nice is if you use the scope properly and store it in the system for that 10-year period as well, it allows you a transition to speak to these programs in addition to the base coverage. covers your TOOCUS in that particular instance and gives you a walkthrough on your first presentation, because unlike life insurance or long-term care programs, which are very viable needs, they're not allowed to be discussed in detail on the first presentation. Utilizing this program, collecting that electronic scope of agreement on what's going to be discussed, it gives you then the opportunity for them to be aware of, well, gee, there's some other things on here. We're going to talk about it all. Great transition. And that includes a way for you to actually do a crossover sale as well, utilizing one of the components in this system, the CSG system, that allows you to conjure up the different quotes. Doesn't mean make that sound mysterious, but gives you the opportunity for you to do a crossover into other sales that are available through this quoting mechanism. Many times the programs that we discuss come to you with additional incentives, different marketing dollars that may be involved, or may help you qualify for a carrier trip. Keep in mind, ancillary products can do that. The MA and MAPD, PDP programs don't allow for that simply because the max compensation is set by the government. That's allowable by the carriers to pay out. But these other programs give you an opportunity to enjoy additional compensation for your work, and they also help you qualify for Premier's incentive programs, which this last year was going to be a cruise. Because of the pandemic, it was morphed into an additional cash payout where we had agents that made $4,000 out of the additional program. As I mentioned also, we try to put you in front of people to visit with them about the different programs, and that includes a custom call list, because you can cold call for dental. And as Seth illustrated during his presentation, there's that price increase after age 65. So this is a great turning 65 outreach as well, where you can cold call for it should you choose to do so. And with that list is butted up against do not call, so you stay in compliance with it. At a low cost, or in many cases, no cost at all to you, depending upon your contracting situation with us. One of the other things that we recommend, of course, are community-based marketing programs, and that includes the retail opportunities that are out there, particularly during AEP, but there are still agents that are accessing the public through retail situations like Walmart or the different carrier programs that are out there. A lot of them do it. And that gives you an opportunity then to also offer the ancillary products as part of that. That's generally in a follow-up conversation, but it's available to you. Two other pieces that are key for you to work in the community, be they live or be they virtual, are other centers of influence such as faith-based opportunities, discussing programs like this through churches, mosques, synagogues. You have a huge number of those institutions that are doing services or have done services virtually, so the technology in many cases is there for you. And talking about dental programs, dental vision hearing programs, is a valuable resource for that congregation as well. And of course, that then takes you into the provider marketing aspect, where Seth illustrated where you found some of the providers that are part of the networks or not networks of this program. It gives you a great call list there as well, where you can discuss things with their providers. And even though the vision portion of SureBridge's program is not tied to a network, accessing that list of optometrists can be a great help to you as well. In many circumstances, carriers will help generate prospects, particularly Medicare Advantage programs through AEP. Many of those MA carriers are continuing that with an emphasis on their dual special needs programs. So if you've done production with those carriers, it behooves you to maintain that relationship and see what is available with the carriers as well. We can help tie you into that local carrier support. So make certain that if you don't know those folks, we help introduce you. We do have an internet leads program and a direct mail support plan as well. That direct mail plan is through certain vetted vendors, but it is production based, where this can drive down the cost of a regular mail program, which I got to tell you, during AEP with the election, the responses were a little lower than usual, but we have seen an uptick in those responses since the first of the year. And people who are doing this consistently are enjoying the fruits of their actions, so to speak. Because if you do it consistently, hey, it's like your exercise program. You work out once a week, you got a little bit of pain, you don't have a lot of results. But if you do it continually and consistently, you're going to see the results of that and have a steady lead flow for you and your agency. I mentioned we use certain vendors to do it. We do so because we vet the correspondence that's available for this program to make certain that we keep you in compliance and that we're doing the best to maximize the return on your mail program, but keep you out of compliance jail. There's actually a really strong program out there right now with one of the carriers for DSNP. It is a great way for you to open up discussions on other products, and of course they have programs for dental as well. We also have a couple of programs that help pay for responses only. So if you manage your own direct mail program, it takes about 2 to 3 weeks turnaround for you to actually see the leads come back. You get the leads same day. These are leads that are out there that have never been worked. That may be a day or two older than that, obviously, but they give you then an opportunity to access leads that are less straining on your budget, perhaps. When you discuss your marketing budget, this gives you an idea as to what your direct costs are for those leads, and they are there for you. That internet program that I mentioned, 2 different campaigns that are out there through this. One deals with final expense leads, the other with Medicare leads. And when we speak to Medicare leads, most of the time this comes out as a Med Sup campaign, but those are available for you as well. So all that said and done, we go through this presentation because we want to help you grow your business. We want to be part of that business procedure that you're going through, and we're asking for your participation in programs such as the SureBridge programs that can really help you grow your agency and your income, plus taking care of your prospects and clients. So if this is something you want to integrate into your personal marketing plan, if you've got other dental programs out there already as well, this is a great option to add. But in many circumstances, much as where the public doesn't review their programs, this is an area that sometimes escape our review with our prospects and clients. A great way to go back now to the people we enrolled or spoke to and didn't enroll during AEP, or those folks that we uncover through our marketing efforts moving forward. So all that said and done, I'm going to check and make certain that we have all the questions answered that are there for us. Let's see. One more came in. I'm already appointed with Premier on the life side. Can you do the rapid appointment with SureBridge? Roy, what we're able to do is make certain that we do that electronically. It speeds up the process, and it is a quick way to get this going. A lot faster than you'll see in some other instances. We'll make certain that you have the information to get that up and going for you. So all that said and done, we've covered all the questions. I'm a couple minutes over. I apologize, but I want to make certain that we thank you for your attendance today. We realize your time is your most valuable asset, but there are a number of you on the call that have done business with us in the past, such as Roy, and we want to thank you for that business and that association. Sometimes we get caught up in the whole, hey, look at this, and we don't take the time to say, hey, we appreciate what you've done with us. We have opportunities in addition to that, and that's what we're going through today. So keep in mind, you're able to respond to the email follow-up that'll come to you. You can call us at 1-800-365-8208. If you're already working with a marketer, they'll make certain that they take care of your questions and handle your requests. If you're not associated with Premier, dialing into that number, they'll get you set up with a person who's able to help you through the intricacies of getting engaged in this program with SureBridge and the other services that we offer. We will be following up with folks that are raising their hand with this, and we'll make certain that we get you taken care of post-haste. So all that said and done, once again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your business. We look forward to visiting with you in the very near future. And until that time, hey, we wish you good selling. Thanks so very much, and we'll talk with you soon. Thank you, Seth. I'll circle back with you in just a moment. Thank you all.